Welcome back to the Outside View Live with Women's Crick Zone. We are here on the 23rd of January, a Saturday, to cover the second ODI between South Africa and Pakistan. Now, I'm pleased to be joined by our two experts, Mark and Claire. We're all in different time zones, but we're united by this game of cricket. How are both of you doing?
Hmm. Claire, you can go first since you're the home team.
Yeah, no, look, all good here down in Cape Town. Obviously, the ladies are playing up in Durban. The weather looks really, really fantastic. I've just seen some pictures from the ground. The sun is shining. We were getting a little bit worried because there's actually a cyclone coming in at Madagascar. And often that can bring a lot of rain to that Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal area. And I think the rain is hitting us tomorrow. So we are really, really happy to be getting this second ODI in at Hollywood Bets Durban.
And Mark, how about you?
Yes, no, I'm good, thanks. Just got a little bit of an eye injury, as you probably can see. So that's the downside of cricket, isn't it? The cricket ball's hitting you in the head. It's not really meant to be that way, but yeah. Anyway, I'm here and I'm safe and I'm ready to go.
Perfect. Really excited to sort of start the coverage for this game now. Obviously, this is the second match in a 3 ODI series, and you'd expect that this is the most crucial one when it comes to who's going to win the series. And we'd hope that the entire series is as close as the first match was. Now, Claire, I know you can tell us a little more about the pitch at Durban and how it's going to play out. Is it going to be similar to the first ODI, or is there a change up?
So it looks like they're playing on the same pitch that they played on Wednesday on the first ODI, which surprises me a little bit. Actually, I thought they would have changed tracks to one of the tracks parallel to the one they played on Wednesday. I don't think there's not much you can do to change a pitch in just a few days. So I would expect the pitch to be running pretty much the same. It's going to be slower than what we probably had definitely slower than what I had expected it to be. And I think the girls, hopefully they've all learned the lessons from the Wednesday, from the first ODI, and they can work out how to sort of manipulate the ball and try and get a couple more runs, because I think both teams knew that they were slightly short on how many runs they should have got.
Right. And Mark, just picking up from Claire, what are the few things that the teams can look at the pitch and change up in their playing style in this coming ODI?
Well, the first thing I would say is that Cricket South Africa have won the best and fairest competition, because that pitch suits Pakistan far more than it does South Africa, in terms of the two best fast bowlers in the world being in the South African team, and possibly some of the best spin bowlers, and I'm talking about spinning the ball, in the Pakistan team. So if that is the case and that is the pitch, Pakistan will be pretty happy with the way that they bowled the last time, and they'll be very happy, I'm sure, to be bowling on that again. Whether they bowl first or bat first remains to be seen, obviously. But I think, we were chatting off air, I think the captains would have learned a lot, and Claire quite rightly mentioned at the end of the last one day that both captains were just feeling their way a little bit in terms of tactics, and Javeria Khan from Pakistan made a couple of errors, I thought, with Laura Goodall coming in and giving her just time to adapt to that pitch rather than putting some pressure on her. And obviously Sune Luz, near the end there, just lost a little bit of control and leadership in that team, and to let Pakistan get really close. But I'm sure both coaches have had a chat to the captains, and they're working really close together, and we'll see possibly some different tactics today from both.
Right, and we've just got news that Pakistan have won the toss and have decided to bowl again. Ananya, can you tell us, what went into that decision? Do you think you were expecting something different?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually very, very surprised, like Mark said off air. I think it was really surprising, considering they are playing on the same pitch, we think. And, we saw that it was really hard to score against the spin. It was hard against the older ball. So, considering that they're going to be chasing, it's the fourth time the wicket's going to be used in the second innings. So, I mean, I think I was really surprised by the decision. I'm not sure what went into it, but maybe there's some moisture on the pitch. Maybe there's a little bit of water that, that they watered the wicket overnight, and maybe there's some left over in the morning. So maybe there's something that they think they can utilize, but yeah, I'm very surprised.
Yeah, and talking about the first ODI, I think I saw too many runouts for my liking, and I was wondering, was it credit to the fielding unit or was it just miscommunication between the batters over and over again? So, Claire, can you maybe take us through what they can do differently to sort of maintain better partnerships and rotate strike successfully?
Well, I think it sort of talks to that match practice and getting to know your players and getting back into it. And the ladies haven't played literally any cricket since I think it was early March 2020. Yes, some of the girls have played at the Big Bash, but especially the South African, we had 8 ladies at the Women's Big Bash. But obviously, they're not playing with their teammates. They're playing with international or the other international girls. So from that perspective, you kind of just lose that communication and that connection that you might have when you're sort of training day in and day out and playing lots of matches with your fellow teammates. I think the other thing that was interesting was they were lucky just to get away with the amount of runouts that they did have. I thought South Africa, particularly when they lost the plot at the end of the innings, there were 4 or 5 runouts that South Africa should have got. I mean, the batting innings would have scorecard would have looked quite interesting. Run out all the way at the bottom. So yeah, I think I think it comes down to the communication and just the gelling between the players when they're running between the wickets. Clear, crisp communication, understanding exactly what they want. Obviously, we have to consider at that moment in time also Pakistan were trying to pick up the run rate. So was South Africa. They weren't penetrating the field. So you do get those quick drops and runs and any kind of opportunity to get a quick single. And obviously, if a fielding side is on it and they're reading the game well, that's when they can pick up those runouts.
Right, and we're getting news in from the stadium that the lineups have been revealed. And Mark, I wanna shift to you here. Pakistan has gone with an unchanged 11. Are you because we mentioned that we might see a few changes going?
I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised that Pakistan chose to bowl when they bat. If South Africa complete their 50 overs, then they are going to bat on what will affect a 200 over pitch. We already saw in that game, the first game, that it was keeping low. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like after 200 overs. So yes, or sorry, yeah, whatever it is, 150 overs. I am a little bit surprised because they do tend to change their team a little bit, but I'm pleasantly surprised that they haven't, because I think Muniba Ali needs another go at the top of the order. And so I'm really pleased that they've kept her there and not been tempted to change her with Aisha Zafar. Kainat Imtiaz might have been the other one that they brought in, but I think because they're playing on the same pitch, that they would have gone with the left arm spinner of Sadia Iqbal and Nashir Sandhu, who were superb. So I'm pleased. I'm surprised because they tend to be a little bit of knee-jerk reactions from time to time, but obviously that's David's influence to say, whoa, 3 runs away. It's little percentages. Let's keep this playing 11 going and see how we go for this one.
That's great. And I think it shows confidence in your players, which is really important, even for the players. And we're hoping with Pakistan bowling first that we see a similar sort of spinning choke to South Africa and containing them. And, Ananya, tell us a little more about what maybe South Africa can do differently to handle this Pakistan spin attack.
Well, I think, we saw it with both teams that they struggled to, score against the spin, whether it was Pakistan or whether it was South Africa. I think none of the batters were very proactive against spin. I think when you looked at, the South African innings, Mignon du Preez started using her feet once she settled down. She tried to manipulate the field, but I think a lot of the batters just allowed the spinners to bowl to them. They allowed them to settle into a rhythm. They didn't try anything different, try and manipulate the field. I think they stuck to the same guard. There was no effort to maybe switch guard or pull out a sweep, maybe come down the track, maybe pull out a reverse sweep, and maybe force the captains to change the field. I think that there was no effort to do that. And, I think that's probably something that both teams can work on, just forcing the captains and the spinners to think. And that wasn't done in the first ODI. I think that's possibly something that the batters can do today.
Absolutely. And moving on to the South African 11, we have one change. Kaka has come in place of Tumi. And Claire, I mean, do you think it's a good change, a needed change? How do you sort of see this panning out?
So to be honest, I'm not really surprised by the change. I actually thought that she would bowl in the first innings. I thought she would be in the team selection in the first innings. Kaka's been bowling really well. She's an up and coming youngster. She's got really good control over her deliveries. So I'm not hugely surprised by it. I thought they might have given Tumi just another run. I didn't think that she did anything sort of too badly, or she did what she needed to do, when the captain called upon her. But I like the change. I'm not against the change at all. I think it's quite an exciting one. And as I said, I thought she was going to bowl or be in the team lineup in the first ODI.
Right, and just sticking with you for the second question as well, we have South Africa coming into bat now, and we have Lizelle Lee and Boulevard on top. We would imagine. What does Lizelle Lee? I mean, now she's a pure batter, right? She isn't keeping behind the wickets. So is there more freedom, but also more pressure on her? And how do you think she can sort of just convert that into a big score today?
Sure, I think my honest opinion is Lee is under quite a bit of pressure. She is such an amazing batter. She is so dynamic. And she's got amazing hands, and I wouldn't say she's got the greatest footwork at times, but she's got such fantastic hands. I think she's always got this internal conflict within herself, like how to pace her innings, when she should be going, when she should be holding back. And I feel that that's sort of what gets into her head too much. I mean, she is a fantastic batter. I mean, she hits the ball as long as sort of anyone in the world. And I'm almost saying, like, some of the guys, when they see her hit a big six, they're like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" They can't quite believe that a woman can hit such a long ball. I think she really just needs to slow herself down at the beginning of her innings. She needs to take her time, and she's got the ability to accelerate. She almost needs to go back and look at Marizanne Kapp's innings from the first ODI and just say, like, I could see, Kappy was struggling. She couldn't get the ball going. And just really try and focus on, getting through those first sort of 20 deliveries. Because Lizelle Lee, if she can get through 20, she's going to start seeing it like a football. And when she starts seeing it like a football, we know what she can do. So I really do just think that she just needs to calm herself down. She needs to watch outside her off stump. She loves to sort of prod outside the off stump. And then often if the ball straightens too much, then she gets caught, like we saw in the first ODI. So she kind of wants to get back on ball the whole time outside the off stump. And then when the bowler straightens it up a bit, then she gets herself into a little bit of trouble because she's now over committed. I almost would like to say, play it like a test match for the first 20 balls. If you really want to leave it outside the off stump, leave it. Get the feel for the pitch, and then really open up. Boulevard, I love watching bats. I think she's a fantastic batter. I mean, she's just got perfect technique. And she would have been really disappointed with her innings and going out on 40. I know her as a player, and I know how she approaches her innings. And because she got the start that she did, she would have expected herself and put pressure on herself to get very close to the end of the South African innings. I think if she did that, we would have seen her scored closer to 230, 240, 250. So she's going to be very critical of herself. And try and sort of correct that. But I think I'm hoping that the South African openers can get off to a really good start, because then I think it could be quite exciting.
Yeah, and Mark, on that note, we have Diana Baig with the golden arm, who's gotten both these openers out last time around. What do you see, coming in? Diana Baig, Claire has mentioned what they have to do correctly. What does Diana Baig have to do to send them home before they sort of make a big score?
Oh, look, I think she obviously is a key when opening the bowling, and like Ismail, who's obviously going to play her 100th game, and we'll touch on that very soon. But Diana's is a key is to swing the ball early, so she needs to pitch it up, and Claire quite rightly said that Lee is a frustration for most coaches, I would have thought, around the world that she comes across, because she's such a good player. But swinging the ball early to both Laura and Lizelle is a key, and outside that off stump. And that's what Diana does really well. We know that she's really dynamic in the field. She does have a bad shoulder. That's why you'll see her fielding in the circle and not out. But she's still dynamic enough to cause some real issues. We always used to count how many runs she stopped, and on average in an ODI, she was between 6 to 10 runs per ODI that she would stop or create an opportunity. She's a fan. I don't know about everybody's thoughts, but I think hands down she's the best fielder in the world by a long way, and that includes the Australians. She is so dynamic.
We'll take that. That's right up there. I think, Ananya coming on, as Mark mentioned, we have Shabnam Ismail playing her 100th ODI. Do you see, obviously it's a massive achievement. Do you see the team getting behind her and really the entire momentum of the South African sport lifting up, coming out all guns blazing for this ODI?
Well, I'm sure it will. You think of this group of South African players, and I think they all made their debuts around the same time. Or a large chunk of them have, and they've played alongside each other for maybe over a decade now. So, the fact that they will get behind her, they will want to do something special for her today. I don't think there's any debate over that. And, to add to that, yeah, so I think that there are just so many things that mean a lot to them today that they will come out and they will really want to put in a special performance. You think of Shabnam Ismail, she is one of the best bowlers in the world. I think the 5th most successful seamer, South Africa's highest wicket taker. There's no doubt about her ability. She showed it in the first ODI as well. The fact that she came in and really, I suppose seized the momentum in the first innings with the bat, and then put South Africa in the driver's seat with the ball as well. So she plays with so much passion. I think it's really hard not to get behind her. I think it's very hard not to want her to do well. So yeah, I have no doubt that South Africa will really want to lift their game, especially after they kind of let it slip in the first ODI. They'll want to do something special for her today.
Yeah, and I think, apart from their cricket doing the talking today, they have donned the black jerseys, the black kits for today's Black ODI, something that's never happened before. Hopefully we'll make it an annual event. Claire, can you tell us a little more about why they've chosen to, use their platform to spread this message, to break the silence, in gender violence?
Absolutely, and thank you for letting me talk a little bit about it. Obviously across the world, we've all had the sort of coronavirus pandemic, and it's hit our countries, in different ways, and people have had to adapt. But our President, Cyril Ramaphosa, on a couple of occasions when addressing the nation on national television, literally referred to the second pandemic in South Africa as being gender-based violence. It is such a common thing within South Africa, and it is something that women sort of live in fear sort of every single day of their lives. And so I think the Momentum Proteas, and with Cricket South Africa's backing, have done fantastically well to use this opportunity to allow the ladies actually to use their voices. In the past, we often see the Pink Day, for breast cancer from the Australians and the South Africans in support, the men supporting breast cancer. But I think for the ladies to have the opportunity to play in black and use the hashtag end gender-based violence, I think it's just fantastic, and they're sort of really trying to make it known across the world that this is a massive problem. Probably not only in South Africa. I don't want to be naive and say only in South Africa, across the world, but definitely have known people who've experienced gender-based violence, and they want to do something about stopping it.
Yeah, and on that note, we have a small clip of Mignon du Preez sort of, talking about the similar concept. If we can just play that now. All right, so moving on then, we're getting close to the first ball being bowled. Let's wrap it up with score predictions. Mark, why don't you give us your insight into what do you think South Africa can make today?
Well, I'm a little bit concerned from the Pakistan side, so that worries me if I get concerned. I think Ismail's 100th. I think the fact that our girls got close but they didn't get the final prize a couple of nights ago, I worry where their head's at. Look, I think if they bowl really well and they get early wickets, which is a key, and get Mignon in and Cap in when the ball's relatively new, we've got a chance of getting through and breaking through to that lower order. If we don't and Lee and Woolvart get away, then and they build a nice little base there, I think Pakistan could be chasing 200 plus. And I know Claire says it's the other night before she knew about the pitch, which was very generous of your nation, Claire. Thank you very much. I do think that anything over 220 on this pitch is going to be very, very tough to get.
All right, we have 220 with Mark. Ananya, your thoughts on the score?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with Mark on this. I think South Africa are probably going to get around 220. I think we saw Laura Woolvart the other day, looked extremely comfortable. She got away to a very good start. And I think she showed that it was easier to score when the ball was hard and new. And I think if she gets set, she's not going to give it away this time. I think she's going to be one that's going to be hard to dislodge. So I think South Africa are going to get around 220.
All right, and Claire, you know, we have South Africa coming in like on top of this game, really, and everything seems to be in their favor right now. What do you think is a score that they're going to be looking at?
So I totally agree with the score prediction so far. I think if it goes over 220, Pakistan are really going to struggle to chase that down. You know, in the first ODI, without seeing the pitch, I called 250. So I'm going to lower it slightly, and I'm almost going to say that I think South Africa are going to challenge themselves to a little bit over 220. So I think Hilton, as a coach, would be saying, come on, guys, like let's not get greedy and let's not be silly in our approach to it, but let's work towards that kind of 230, 235, 240. I think over 250 on a pitch like this is good if it plays the same. It's going to be really difficult, but I think South Africa won't quite be happy if they hit 220. I think it'll still be in their favor, but I think if you're a hard taskmaster and you want to, you know, be ticking the boxes and doing things correctly, you'd be wanting to get between 230 and 240 in this game.
That's perfect. I think you're absolutely right. Where if you want to challenge the best of the best, you're going to have to push yourself. And hopefully we see, you know, on both sides, I think we should see an intense game, a competitive game. The opening 10 overs is going to be crucial to see who kind of puts their foot out first. But having said that, here our score predictions are pretty much in the 220, 230 range. The first ball is going to be bowled in under 5 minutes. Everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in and head over to the match now. It's going to be an exciting first innings and we'll catch you in the mid-innings segment.